and welcome to Inside Boxing's Throwdown. I'm Aurelio Martinez, Stephen Johnson, and this week we're going to go ahead and talk about, we're going to recap on this segment, we're going to recap this weekend's fight. And we had some good ones. Saturday there was a couple of shows. Of course, everyone was watching Mikey Garcia and the fight for his fourth title, and I think it's 4 different weight classes. It might be, but we'll talk about that. Also we had
Oscar Valdez
on that. But Friday we had some fights on Showtime. Showtime's
Lou DiBella promoted.
Yeah, and that was with Julius Indongo. He was trying to make his way up to the top, and he fought the Panamanian
Regis Prograis.
Prograis, and
it went about like we thought it would be. Prograis has been on a tear. He's been just blasting dudes out.
And nothing's changed. Indongo got knocked out in the second round. He got stopped in the second round, so that took care of that. So.
But the bottom line really was that Prograis is no joke. At 140 pounds, there's not many people who mention his name. I would stay away from him myself. I'm telling you, he's a raw dog.
He's the sleeper. You got all these other 40 pounders. I mean, you got Mikey. He went up to 40 pounds. Now he's a champion. So this would be a good opportunity.
Mikey don't want to mess with him.
For Prograis to say, hey, you're in my division. Let me come. So. You're right. He's the sleeper. He's the one you don't talk about. Everyone, you're talking about the big names out there, and Mikey wants to fight Terrence Crawford. He wants to fight. Well, he's talking about it, and he wants to fight. And we're going to talk about that here. We're going to lead into that. And he wants to talk about fighting one-time Thurman and Danny Garcia.
No, he don't.
And he'll even go down to fight Lomachenko. And,
no, he don't.
He's calling all these big names, okay? Big names.
We'll get to them in a minute, but
but you're right.
Prograis is a dog that nobody really wants to mess with.
I'll tell you, and he's a knockout artist. So obviously he's
heavy-handed, and nobody wants to see him. Let's just leave it alone, man. Nobody wants to see him. He's got a tough way.
Because keep that name on your list of fighters that you want to see. Okay, so you want to keep an eye on Prograis. He's actually going to bring some excitement to that 140 pound if anybody decides to fight him. And I'll tell you what,
they'll leave him alone.
Sean Porter, any of them guys, you want to stay busy.
Well, Sean Porter's a welterweight, so Sean won't mess with him. Him being a super lightweight. There's, like I said...
See, but they're all talking, in that division, 40, 47, they're all talking about each other. It's all money now. Mm-hmm. It's all money now. So,
okay.
So Lou DiBella,
let's see what you can do.
Get on the stick.
You got your boy. Okay, then let's just move to one of the fights we had yesterday. I'll start off with the first one we had when we were at that StubHub Arena in Carson, California, that was televised on ESPN. Mm. And that was where the main event was Oscar Valdez and Scott Quigg. I don't want to waste too much time on that because Scott Quigg came in overweight. I mean, the rule they have in California is that 2 pounds is it. You can't do it. And he was almost 3 pounds overweight.
Well, he was more than that.
So he lost. He was at 128.8, and 126 was the limit. So, but the bottom line was that he missed weight.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And so the fight there, Oscar Valdez's, WBO world featherweight title was not on the line.
He was almost 4 pounds over. Let me just talk about the weight. It may not seem a lot to the common folks out there. 3.8. That's 4 pounds difference, but in a fighter's view, that's a lot. And he obviously knew he wasn't going to make weight. Okay, obviously knew. So don't wait till you get on the scale. Okay, hey, I'm not making weight. I can't make weight. Whatever. That's one of my that irks me more is when fighters sign for a fight at a weight knowing they can't make that weight. Mm-hmm. Okay, so
let me say this about it, and then because like I said, I don't want to waste too much time on it, but let me say this: Oscar Valdez suffered a broken jaw, and Scott Quigg suffered a broken nose. I think in the 4th and 5th rounds, those 2 rounds, if I'm not mistaken, it was a knockdown drag out. Those boys went at it. Now, Oscar Valdez clearly won the fight, but Quigg, you know, to his credit, and I don't want to give him too much, but he didn't come and lay down. You know, a lot of times when guys don't make weight and the title's not, those guys just kind of lay down and take the payday. We know he had to give up some money. They didn't talk about how much money he had to give up, but he had to give up some money. Quigg, I'm talking about, in order to fight. But it wasn't just a. Actually, it was, to be honest, it was a pretty entertaining fight because they fought.
Well, I think Quigg is still in the mix.
He's definitely still.
He's still in the mix, and I'm gonna tell you something about this fight, real quick, because we want to get to Mikey.
Yeah.
This fight should have never happened. It should have been a rain delay. It should have been a rain delay, just like any other sport. Okay.
Oh man.
Because it was pouring. It was rain. Everything was wet. People had to put their
ponchos
on. It was it was very wet out there. Let me tell you real quick, for guys that don't know, I'm not surprised that Valdez had a broken jaw and everyone got beat up because the rain gives it adds to the element of injury.
Exactly.
Because the leather gets wet, and a lot of folks, you guys may think, well, the leather is wet, it's going to slip. It doesn't slip. It has the opposite effect. The leather now starts to grab and to tear. So that you're opening yourself up to more cuts. You're opening yourself to more solid blows. You can't slip the way you want to slip because the water doesn't make it slippery. It makes that leather tacky, and it becomes more dangerous. Plus, you shouldn't have these guys fighting this kind of weather because it's not a fair fight. It's not. The outcome would be completely different if it was in a dry situation or an inside arena. So the fight should have been postponed, just like you do any other sport. But too much money involved. With the telecast and everything. Or they should always have a backup plan where they can move it into an inside arena or have the ring covered at least. Have the ring where the fighters are.
We're going to have to go into our second. Well, wait a minute, because as you said, the fighters came to the ring with their boots with plastic on them. I mean, it was terrible.
Trying to keep everything dry.
Let me say this real quick on this one since we were talking about it. On the undercard, we had my girl Michaela Meyer, Olympian, our boy Al Mitchell. Yeah. His girl Michaela went, she stopped her girl in the first round. She's now 4-0 with 3 KOs. But a fight we talked about last week that was going to have some repercussions down the road. Mike Reed, from Waldorf, Maryland, was taking on Arnold Barboza Jr. We talked about that fight last week. Barboza was undefeated. Now he's 18-0. But Mike Reed, lopsided victory for Barboza Jr. I don't know where Mike goes now, but in our third segment, I've got an idea of where he needs to go, and we'll talk about that.
I would be very surprised. Well, we only got 2 minutes, so let's finish this off, and we'll come back and do the Mikey Garcia on the next segment. But I will be extremely surprised if he doesn't. Yes, indeed, Reed doesn't get cut by Top Rank. I think
you said that.
I think he'll get cut, like we mentioned in the other one. He was in a must-win situation. He didn't win, so I'd be surprised. Top Rank could cut him. They'll keep him. They'll keep him in their on the hook, just like they did Mike Alvarado, so they can call him when they need him for specific fights. But that's not always the best situation because they're going to call you to be a gatekeeper for fighters that they're looking at to see if they want to put a big investment into that fighter. So if he starts to continue to fight on top ranked cards, that's the role he'll be taking. So
well let me say this. We got a minute left, so let me say this. I personally know of a fight that Mike Reed had with one of our guys, our local guys here, with Manuel Lopez. But those two were on a collision course for the last 3 or 4 years. They've been on collision course from amateurs now up through the pros. And I think now, with Mike Reed signing with a Top Rank when he did, that could kind of put Manny Lowe, at a tier below that. But I think now that collision course is overdue to happen.
Well,
I really think it should. Well, hold on one second. I think it should happen for one reason. Mike Reed needs a win, okay? And if he thinks if his mind says that he can beat Manny Lowe, who Manny Lowe's been off for a year, as you know, he was being a fireman and the whole bit. He took some time off for school, but now
that's Manny Lopez.
Manny Lopez.
You guys are wondering.
Yes, he's from Denver, Colorado.
Manny Lopez. Yeah.
Okay, but I think that fight is one that Top Rank should be more than willing to put Mike Reed on a card against Manuel Lopez.
Well, I don't even think it has to be because it's not going to land. It's not going to land on on a big show like that. Okay, it's not. Okay, but that fight, I agree, probably is a good fight for both fighters. On Manny Lopez side, if he goes in there and fights and beats and defeats Mike Reed, well, see, that'll put him in line, and he'll might catch the eye of Top Rank. You know, they say, well, you know, Mike Reed was one of our fighters. Now we got this guy from Denver beating Mike Reed. We need to look at him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that might be an opportunity for him to do. And then on the other side, it's an opportunity for Mike to come back and say, okay, let me get back. Let me show people that no, that's not the case. You know, I've been fighting these tough guys. I can beat Manny.
That's what I said. Regardless of what happens, Mike Reed needs a win.
Yeah. So
and if there's a guy that he thinks he could beat, it should be Manny Lowe. That's the guy who he thinks he could beat. He should come and get him now.
But the thing, let me ask you something. You got Mike Reed. Okay, you say he desperately needs a win now. Okay, right. to keep on track. Will he take a chance and fight someone as tough as Manny Lowe?
We'll get to see. Chris McLean. There you go.
I mean, and again, will Manny Lowe take? It's not an easy fight for Manny Lopez. Will he make the leap and say, okay, it's time for me to jump into the?
Aurelio, that's a great point. It's a fight where both of them.
They have a lot to gain, but it's not easy. But it's not easy.
That's right.
That's what I'm saying. It's obviously a risk on both sides. You got a risk that can turn into good, mm-hmm. or a risk that can drop down. So, what do? Do the fighters kind of shy away from that matchup, or do they embrace it?
Hey, I know what I'm going to embrace. I need to embrace another big cup of coffee. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with our second segment where we will talk at length about the Mikey Garcia and Sergey Lipinets fight that was on Showtime last night, and quite an entertaining fight. All right. So Aurelio,
till then.
hands up, baby.